So as I mentioned, size is important. There's plenty of room. Make sure the size of your table fits the size and shape of your space. So this is in continuation of the home tour that's been requested. So we thought we'd show a video of the dining room and sort of my thought process on what I wanted the dining room to sort of feel like, and how I came up with the concept of the table and chandelier and that sort of thing. So I, again, am fortunate and know that I'm fortunate in this space to have something so large, to be able to have a dining room table this large. And so we sort of went back and forth. I have another dining room table in another section of our house, but I sort of felt for this space it was too small. And I always think the proportion of your room size to the furniture you add into it is important. Because I think if you start to add smaller pieces to a room that's larger, just to sort of make it feel comfortable, it doesn't make it feel comfortable. I just think the proportions are off. And so I didn't want to have this dinky table in this larger space, because then it doesn't feel as thought out. And so the furniture then becomes this afterthought. I also think that if it was too big or too many sort of seats, it feels too cramped and too crowded. So the measuring of the room was important, and then knowing the measurements of the table that you're going to put in. And so the rule of thumb that you use for the size of table is you have 2 feet of table or 2 feet of table space for every butt you're trying to put in a seat. So it's 2 feet per seat. So each seat should have 2 feet of at least that sort of room for you to feel comfortable and not feel crowded, and for you to have enough space to fit everybody around. So that's how we came up with the size of table. Also too, I wanted to be able to fit in more than 10 or 12 because the table that I have had previously seats 8. And so if we just did 12, to me, it didn't seem like that was still big enough. And so a way that we went around being able to add more seats is we doubled the size of the head. So we have 2 head chairs at the head and the other end to add in double of the size. So that was something else that we thought of. So this table I actually designed. It doesn't exist in this form. So we were able to create this table and make it custom, because that's how I roll. Because I like to have my own things. And so it's nice to be able to do that, where it's something that you've created and it's not just copying and pasting someone else's style. So it was nice to be able to do that. And it was fun too. The contrast of color that I wanted to go with, since my floors in the lower level of our house are like a lighter mid-tone color, is what I talk about, is I wanted there to be this contrast where the table and the chair sort of stood out from the flooring. And so that's why I went with this darker wood. I also like darker and the white sort of together. I like that contrast together. Also, I didn't want anything that was too fancy or ornate or that sort of feel. And so we went with a table that was a little more modern. Later we can take a video of like maybe the base of the table. I like how the base feels like building blocks sort of together that holds up the side. I just like the architecture of the legs. It's just different shapes, and it looks like it's a building holding up a flatter surface. And so I like that. I also like the dark wood grains on top of the table. And I wanted to add something with the chairs that seemed softer and not just a wood back and a wood seat with the wood table, because that to me felt too matchy, but I still wanted the elements of the dark. So that's why the arms on the seats that have arms are still the dark wood, and the legs also match. And so that's why I wanted that contrast of those. I just like how it feels with the contrast of those 2 colors and the fabric of the softer sides and the more edgy, rough side of the table. And I think when you contrast those elements like that, where you have something that's a little more soft and a little more hard together, I think it meshes together well than if you just have all soft surfaces or all hard surfaces. You kind of need that tension between the two objects or the two fabrics or the two pieces to kind of bring it together to make it cohesive. So that's why I did that. This would be the perfect time for you to go on and subscribe and hit that bell so you know what type of videos that I upload. Also, it will give you the notification of when I do upload new videos, and then take the time to also subscribe to my channel. Again, there are a lot of people that are viewing, but not as many people subscribing. And so if you would take the time to go down and also subscribe, that would also help out. And I look forward to creating with you. Thanks so much. The other thing you want to pay attention to is the function of your space. So again, more people are probably still working from home. And so you may be using your dining room for other functions, maybe working, or, you know, maybe you have a staff of people that you're managing and you take meetings from home or that sort of thing. And so, my dining room table seats 16. So it's nice that when we do have larger family gatherings and those sorts of things, I feel like we do have enough room where we can fit all of those people in and enjoy time together. Also, if you are working from home and you need a space to meet, I think a larger dining room table would be great for that. You could have meetings and those sorts of things. Also, too, if you are having a game night or some other sort of function that way, you have enough room where you can have probably multiple games, or if you and your family do puzzles at home or that sort of thing, you have a lot of room to spread out, and you can, you know, put all the puzzle pieces out and make the puzzles and play the games, and probably have 2 or 3 games going at once, or multiple things going at the table all at once. And so if you have the space for it, I think as large as your dining room is, that can accommodate a larger table of that size, I would say, you know, as they say, go big or go home. So try and use the space that you have to seat as many people as you can. And I think, I just think it's more helpful because then you can use it for multiple different things, not just eating. So as I mentioned, it is easier to remember how many seats you can have in your area if you remember 2 feet for every seat that you plan on having at your dining room table. So if I measure this, it should be at least 4 feet across. And it's actually, at this end, it's 5. So you have your 2 feet per seat plus a little more, so you feel a little more comfortable and you're not feeling crowded and on top of each other. The size of the room and the table, we multiplied that, or actually, divided it by the inches. And so we just did inches, and we did the inches of the width, because you still want to be able to have a good 25 to 30 so inches from the table to the walls to be able to pull a chair out, so you don't feel like you're up against the wall and you have room to move. So this is way more than 30 inches. So I could go 30 inches from the foot of the chair, and we're actually twice that. So this is 67 and a half. So plenty of room to move around and pull chairs out and that sort of thing. But that's how you want to measure. You want to make sure you at least have a good 30 inches or so from the base of your table to the walls to be able to seat people in and pull a chair out. And so if someone was sitting in this chair, there would still be room for your guest to walk around and not feel like, oh, you have to scoot the chair in so I can get by. So then people are still comfortable. You're not interrupting the person that's seated. And then the person that might have to get up from the table, go to the bathroom or get more food or something to drink or whatever, they're not interrupting your guests at the table. And so I think that that is the easiest sort of way to measure. And I have plenty of room from wall to wall this way and the length of the wall this way. So it gives your company comfortability, I think is the word I was looking for, if that's even a word. So it just makes it feel like you're not crowded when you're sitting at the table. So I wanted to show the base of the table. So let me pull these chairs out. And I like how they are these geometric sort of shapes on the sides, kind of a trapezoidish, triangle-ish, and then the plinth in the middle, and then it repeats that trapezoid, triangle-ish sort of shape on the other end. So it just gives it a little more architectural sort of feel, modern, chunky, heavy, weighted, and that's the feeling I wanted. I didn't want it to feel I don't know, light and airy, I guess. I didn't want that feeling because I think the room is so big. It didn't really need to be light and airy. I think the weight of the table can be handled because of the size of the room. So I think that those are things you have to pay attention to, is if you're going to use a table with a base like this or something where it's more chunky and heavy, you just want to make sure that the size of your room can handle that type of table when you're designing with that. And then if we move this way a little more, I have these floor lamps. I think I bought these at Crate and Barrel or CB2. Though that's probably my newest addition. I just wanted some light in here. I had some other light in here and I just didn't like it. So I moved those out and brought these in. And so I like these a little better. And then we had the window shades made for this space. They're the same window shades I have in the rest of the house. And they're automated, which I kind of like. So they can be adjusted, and certain times of the day, they open or close or adjust according to the sun. So it saves the furniture and saves the wood floor. So if you can have a space where your window treatments can be automated, it is a nice luxury feature to have, and I'm glad that we have that. The other piece that is probably my favorite, piece of art in my home is Ebony. I picked up Ebony on one of our trips to, we went to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, and I was with a friend, and we were trying to find some place to eat because I like to eat as much as I like to talk. So we were walking by the Craig Tracy Art Gallery, and this piece actually happened to be on the back wall furthest from the entrance, and I walked by and saw her eyes. And I think that that was the thing that drew me in. I mean, it was one of those things I walked by and walked backwards to the door. My friends was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I've got to see this piece of art." And it is from a series he did called Painted Ladies. And so these are actual models that he took out on the streets of New Orleans and painted them, and then had them do different poses against different architectural spots on Bourbon Street. And so he did this piece and several of the others, and some of them still have the architectural pieces in the back, but this had more color. And I don't know what it is, but when I'm always drawn to art that has faces. So I don't know what that is, but I really like that, to have that sort of energy. Also, this is a one of one. I just think that this is a nice feature to have, where the system is automated and I can open and close these from a remote. And like I said, they're also on a timer too throughout the day, so they adjust Certain times of the day they open, certain times of the day they close, and so that's a nice feature to have if you can have it. I wanted a different sort of window treatment over the windows on this side. I didn't want the same sort of blinds. I wanted something a little softer and something else to make the room feel taller. Not that I need the ceilings to feel taller, but I kind of thought hanging window curtains on this side, these drapery panels, on this side, as high up as you can, as low to the floor as you can. That's the rule. I've talked about that in one of my other videos. Hang the ceiling, their curtains as high to the ceiling as you can. And I just went with linen, a white linen, because I like the look of it. It's very casual, and I think some of the other things in the dining room are a little more, I don't know, a little not so casual, I guess. And so it just kind of balanced the two out, I thought, a little better. I also like that they're wrinkled. I know that some people don't like that look, and that's why they don't use linen, but it doesn't bother me that much that they're not perfect, because I like the imperfection of that. Again, the other thing I like about this is they are on a remote as well, and they can be opened and closed. And so this also operates the curtains I have in my living room as well. They're all on the same sort of timer. So again, certain days, certain times of the day they close, certain times of the day they open, but is a nice feature to have on an automation if you can have it. So that concludes the tips and the feeling and the method of how I went about designing my dining room. I hope that you were able to find something that was helpful to you and that you learned a little something. And if you are still watching, please take the time to go down to the bottom again and click those buttons that like and subscribe. They really help. And it just gives me, again, another way to know what types of videos you like. And it gives you a way to know when I've uploaded new content. So again, thanks for watching, and I look forward to creating with you. This even has the batteries in it. It would be more fun. Childhood games. Ooh, there's money. I didn't realize there was money. Let's see if I can get this out without setting off the nose. See how good I am. Bone, the rubber band. Ta-da! And didn't set off the nose.